thankful to Federation of Social Justice for having invited me here to speak on women's rights. This year marks the 75th anniversary of our Constitution. And the most revolutionary aspect of our Constitution was the universal adult franchise. This empowered women and marginalized communities at a time when many advanced democracies were lagging behind. It is said, ladies and gentlemen, that women comprise 50% of the population. While they are half of the population, they also nurture the other half. So actually, women are one who look after 100% of the population. And that is why the empowerment of women is very, very important. Because a country where women are empowered is an empowered country, and a country where women are not empowered is definitely not an empowered country. I'm proud of the fact that my country gave women the mandate at the onset of freedom, the mandate to vote. Countries like France gave the women mandate to vote in 1944, Switzerland in 1971. But in India, women were on the streets for the freedom struggle, and we have an empowered community as women in this nation. Over the years, India has introduced several laws and initiatives aimed at women's safety and rights. But the question is, do only laws and legislative measures make a real difference? For instance, the Hindu Succession Act of 1956. It has granted daughters inheritance rights in this country. Do our daughters actually possess inheritance right across the nation is the question that we need to ask ourselves. The protection of women from domestic violence. How much difference? In fact, domestic violence is on the rise, and during the pandemic, this was called a shadow pandemic. Has this legislation helped us? The sexual harassment of women at workplace, 2013. Has it stopped sexual harassment at workplace? Our acts against dowry, our acts against child marriage, our PCP and DT Act, how effective have they been in this country? That is a question we need to ask ourselves. There are several schemes that are being launched, like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. I think that's more of a slogan than an actual scheme. Because when you see the Beti, the daughter of India, this fact that a girl was raped and murdered, and so many members of her families were murdered and raped in Gujarat, in the Gujarat riots, this lady called Bilkis Bano, she decided to fight this out alone, and she approached the court, and the court, the Supreme Court, the most apex court of the nation, punished those culprits. And they were inside the prison when the Gujarat government decided to release them. And these prisoners were released. And when they came out of prison, they were garlanded. They were welcomed. This is the kind of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao we have in this nation today. When our wrestlers, Olympic gold medalists who won such laurels for us, they have to fight for justice. They go and protest at Jantar Mantar and they are beaten by the police. They do not get justice. When they are asking that, give us justice against the people who are oppressing us, harassing us, that justice is not given. This is not the dream that our founding fathers saw for us in this country. Today, what is the picture of India? as far as women are concerned. Over 4.4 lakh cases of crimes against women were registered in 2022, translating to 51 cases every hour. That means every hour, 51 cases are registered against women. And these are registered cases. I'm not talking of those that go unregistered, because registered cases are only the tip of the iceberg. According to NCRB statistics, metropolitan cities have seen a sharp increase of 12.3% in reported crimes against women. We should see decline or incline in crimes after all these legislations and after all the schemes that are announced with so much pomp and show. It's a very sad situation that the Nirbhaya Fund, only 30% of the funds are used by the Ministry for Women's specific purposes. I think we need to think about all this. We need to think about the violence in Manipur. When the Prime Minister doesn't have time to come to the Parliament and speak on Manipur, and if there is a discussion on Manipur, everybody has seen those videos where a woman was paraded naked and then she was killed, and it's still happening. Manipur is still on fire and women are still abused, harassed, killed in Manipur. But government has no time to take cognizance of all this. When we talk about women's rights, if women's safety is a question, a woman's very birth is a question. A daughter is not even welcome in the homes when she is born. For that, we have to bring in legislations. We have unequal pay. We have so much to say about this topic. Under the POSH Act, sexual harassment cases have risen up from 161 cases in 2013-14 to over 1,116 cases in 2022-23. Even literacy remains a barrier. When the Constitution has given the women equal rights, today, even for literacy, women are behind men. In the 2011 census, and there has been no census after that, the literacy rate for women was 59.3 compared to 78.8 in men. This is gross discrimination. Where are the rights? Where are the educational rights of women? Today, if you talk about digital literacy, you go to any village and see, you will see that women don't possess a mobile phone. So, India's digitization has surged. Only 31% of women own a mobile phone compared to 60% men. Isn't this discrimination? Isn't this violation of women's rights? My question is, when the scenario is grim, what is the government doing? Little babies are raped. In Maharashtra, there was so much hue and cry about little 5-year-old, 3-year-old girls being raped in their institutions. And the government has time only to talk about this caste, that caste, ek hai to safe hai, katenge, marenge. What is all this? Where is our country being led to? Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar had said that no matter how good the Constitution is, if it is run by bad people, it will be bad. If it is run by good people, it will be good. Today we have a government that doesn't care. It's a hypocritical government. There is tremendous hypocrisy in everything. They say something else and they do something else. They only believe in showing the polish, but inside there is nothing, there is hollowness. In the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment, women were given reservation in local self-government bodies. I think that reservation is a transition which is taking place in society. Because reservation is helping grassroots level women to get empowered. Today, their men themselves tell, go and fight the election because there is reservation for you. The very men who never would want the woman to go out of the house are themselves pushing her to go, are themselves telling the woman, go and attend the self-help groups meetings. This revolution takes place only when the government has the will to do it. Today, Nari Shakti with Vandan Adhiniyam, Vandan to the Naris, such big words. But what is the hypocrisy behind it? When is it going to be implemented? They have so many conditions. I have never seen such an act being passed in my life, that it is subject to census, to delimitation, and only then this will be implemented, but you seek the credit only now. Hypocrisy, sheer hypocrisy. We will have to struggle for this Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam to be implemented if we really want the rights of women to be achieved in the real sense. Because we need the voice of women. You know, it has been said, each time a woman stands up for herself, each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it possibly, without claiming it, she stands for all women. If one woman stands, she stands for all women. And if we have to uphold the rights of women in this country, we need to have women who can stand for themselves. And that is why this is not a small struggle, because this is a struggle against the very mindset of society. And we have to struggle. We have to see that our legislations, our judicial system focuses not on the severity of the punishment, but of the certainty of the punishment. Once the certainty of the punishment becomes assured, then we can say that women will achieve justice in this country. And that is why there is no point in asking, struggling for hang the rapist, hang this, do that, severe punishment. No, we need fast-track courts to really function on a fast-track basis, so that whenever a crime happens, justice is meted out, and people don't celebrate encounters. People are celebrating encounters because people feel that justice is delayed. And that is why if we have to achieve women's rights, we need to ensure that justice is meted out speedily. Many of my colleagues are from the legal fraternity here. And you know the problems that we are facing in the judicial system. We need reforms there. We need a government with a proper will to do it. And as we celebrate 75 years of Constitution, let us remember its vision of justice, equality, and dignity for all. Because women's safety and rights are not just women's issues. They are human issues, foundational to the health of our democracy and the progress of our society. So, it is time for us as legislators, as policymakers, as citizens to take responsibility, move beyond tokenism, and make gender equality a reality in this country. And for this, I urge everybody who's here, my colleague, Mr. Wilson, I really appreciate the kind of program that you are taking, but I would also join the person who was speaking here in saying that this should be taken to every corner of the country. And you should have such programs with intellectuals so that we are able to bring about a change in this country and women are really given the due that they deserve. Thank you very much.